Danger! Danger! Well, hello everybody. This is WREXtra Time. I am Paddy Power and this is the local pundit. And we have a lot to talk about today. So, this is your phone-in show for your thoughts and opinions immediately after our match. We have just finished our match versus Wigan. We were away and it ended 0-0. No shots on target. None. What were we doing today? What were we doing? And Wickham were about to save the whole day by also not scoring until 90 plus 1. 90 plus 1, they took a win with a 1-0. That is why the danger, people. We need to talk about it today. So come in and join us. I have put the link out there and I want to talk about this because it needs to be discussed. Now, I'm not quite sure how positive today's show will be. So be prepared. Be prepared. Okay. So who's going to be first in? Guys, come and join me because today is not a day that I'm going to talk to myself. So first up, I'm going to say hello to Matthew Hings, a new member to the local pundit. Thank you very much for joining us, Matthew. Always appreciated. We have hit 1.9 thousand subscribers, everybody. We are very, very close to hitting the 2,000, which was Josh's main target for the end of the season. It looks like we are definitely going to do it, but come on, hit it as quick as we can. If you are not a subscriber, please do so. Do join us here on the local pundit. Now, Patrick has a comment up here. What's there to say, really? We seem to play to the quality of our opponent. We don't look confident and are afraid to dominate. We have discussed this numerous times before. We do often play down to the level of our opponents. Now, it's been a long time since we've said that, but it is still absolutely on point for today's match. We did play down to our opponents. I will give them a little bit of credit. They did play up to us a bit as well. And they challenged us. They came at us and they had shots. They had a couple of shots, but it was interesting to see how woeful their firepower was. And if this was any of 7, 8 other middle teams, they would have beaten us today. They would have beaten us. So I am not very happy. So hello to everyone in the chat. Glenda, Lipins, Leposara, Michael Hillier. Let's see what Mike has to say. Wigan had loads of chances, to be fair. They were more attacking than I thought they would be. Maybe the players had the same thoughts. How many wasted long balls in the first half? Good shout. Good shout. They did have more shots on us. They did get up there. They were up for it. But they can't shoot. And any team that has a couple of players with a half-decent leg on them would absolutely have scored on us today. Craziness. I'm going to shout out O'Connell. He seemed to be sweeping away a lot of danger balls into our box, so he deserves a little shout out there. But why on earth he needed to do so was crazy. Another little shout out for AO. Good thing our man AO was on. Yeah, he saved us. He didn't have a lot to do, but when he was needed, he was there and he covered the balls the way he's supposed to. So yeah, a little shout out for AO there. Okay, we've got a positive from Michael. Let's see what Michael is saying. What positive do we have here? Only positive today would be if... Oh, hasn't even happened. I thought it was a positive that had already happened, but nope. Only positive today would be if Charlton and Stockport drop points, so it's more like us versus Wickham for second. I will say it is still us versus Wickham for second. Stockport and Charlton are still far enough behind. They have a massive, massive road ahead for them to actually get to us by the end of the season. Not impossible yet, so technically they can still do it. I'm not actually overly worried about those two just at the moment. But if Wickham can pull out some big results, and they need some big results, they can do it. They can overtake us. I'm not normally that pessimistic, but it's after today, it's definitely dodgy. Squeaky bum time coming really soon. Playing to the opposition's level was pitiful. We hit a lot last year. It was poor today. Yeah, it was very poor today. This is when we need it for a run in. One of the weakest teams, actually, the weakest team we had in our final five. And we managed to draw it. Not so good. Not so good, everybody. Now, Scuba, as much as I love the team, we are hardly a championship team, not even close. If we got promoted, would any of these players be able to play at the next level? Well, the only thing I will say to that is a very simple answer. We're not in the championship. So we don't need championship level players. We don't need to be a championship level team. We need to be a top League One team, and we need to get promoted out of League One. Then we'll deal with needing a championship team for next season. But I get the point. Absolutely. Yeah, there will need to be a serious number of players changed for next season when we get promoted to the championship. Even though our horrible result today, I'm not going to start saying if, not at the moment. Okay, guys, nobody has joined yet, so I'm going to throw the link out once more. Today will be a very, very short show, ladies and gents. If you don't want to come and talk to me, then I'm not really in the mood to talk to myself today, because I need help today. I need friends in here. I need somebody to come up with some positive that maybe I can't see. Look, here's a positive. We're still in second. How about that? There's a positive for everybody. And the link is back out there again. So we need a couple of guests today. I know today may not be the happiest of days, but come talk to me. Oh, passing. Let's talk about the passing. Okay, precision passing was left wanting and we were timid around the goal. Triangles, people, triangles. Oh, hip cameras here in the background. When you want someone positive, you call on hip karma. So let's just wait a second until hip karma is correct and ready. Okay, let's bring her in and see. Hip karma, hello. Can you hear me? No. Okay. Hip camera, we couldn't hear you. I'll give you a minute and I'll bring you back in again and see if we can get it sorted. So let's do a couple of more comments there while we give hip camera a chance. Okay. I see a different link. Let's see. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Loud and clear. The most positive people. What do you have to say?
Well, one of my positives is that it's not even midnight for me, so I'm actually coherent. I'm so grateful.
Okay. We'll take that to start. More, please. More.
Look, we drew. We didn't lose. No one was significantly injured this match.
Okay. Yep.
And
Agreed.
this, particularly at this time of year, that is huge. We have, if we are, as we all assume, going to play an essentially unchanged 11 for the next few games, we need to make sure that our people are healthy and well. Did we play our best game? No.
No.
We did not. Are we always going to play our best game? No. We're not. We're not. The thing that I assume or observe, given their new manager, is that out of 5 games, they have lost 2 and drawn 3. So he's trained them now to successfully defend to a draw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we just did not seem to become coherent as a team and move forward. And we were mentioning in the chat, I don't know if you thought it as well. Did that pitch seem just that bit larger? It just appeared larger. Was
Uh,
that just perspective of the camera or what? I nearly searched the
no,
dimensions.
it wasn't. We did have the dimensions open, and we posted them as well. It is actually a lot narrower than ours, but it is
Uh-huh.
also a lot longer. So
Ah,
it's an elongated rectangle this time. Our
okay.
pitch is much closer to square. It's not square, but in rectangular sense. Um, so theirs is much longer, and I said it immediately as well. The dimensions were very different than ours. Yeah,
Yeah, and I did wonder if the dimensional difference and the fact that they're used to playing that pitch and we're
yeah,
not
yeah.
might have had something to do with just the way that we were passing and our accuracy with those distances. But that's just me trying to be somewhat mathematical. What do I know about
No,
angles?
it's a very fair point. It was a very different type of dimension, very different shape on the pitch. So yes, they would be used to it, and we would not. But you have to take the good with the bad.
In truth.
Myself, Ken, and Aaron were watching the watch along in the background and chatting about this. And one thing that Ken noticed was that our midfielders seemed to be very far out on the wings. Now, if you narrow the width of your pitch and
Mm,
squeeze it in, then the players may very well have been in their standard positions for our pitch. They just
yeah.
happen to end up closer to the edges. So
Yes.
we did notice that, and we did mention that they are looking out of position. Now, of course, they're supposed to adjust for that.
Mm.
That is their job to adjust and to be in closer formation if that's needed. But yeah, they did look out of position, and maybe it did take a while. But the first half was really poor. I know
Agreed.
we came out fighting in the second half, which you would expect, and even allowing for 45 minutes of being unsure about the pitch you're on, you should quickly be able to adapt. Um, but zero shots on target, even the second half.
And
Now, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go.
I was going to say, we do have a lot of attacking chances where we don't get the ball on the target because we're looking for a head, crosses in, stuff like that. They're not necessarily counted on target. I understand that. But having none, we didn't test the keeper from distance pretty much at any point. That's criminal.
It was not our best. I will say that, and freely. Their defence overall was much stronger than I would have expected. They kept on us really quite well as far as I was concerned. Then again, I'm a newbie. Um, it's it was one of those games um, that I was I was not as, I don't know, emotionally engaged in. Like, I don't know, it didn't grab me, and I was wondering why that was. And is it because I felt that they weren't trying? No, clearly they were trying, but there was, and I don't know how to effectively communicate this, but I didn't feel quite the level of passionate urgency that I have felt from the team before. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
it does make sense. I agree. There seemed to be a lack of urgency about it today. And to be honest, the players looked like I felt. I When I was watching the match, it was for the longest time I was. It'll happen. We'll score. We'll start breaking them down. Just give it a bit of time. They'll start getting a little bit tired. We'll start coming into the game, and then when the second half started, yeah, oh, this is starting to look better, starting
Mm,
to look better, and then all of a sudden we're near the end of the match, and it's like, oh, this is getting scary, and
yes.
it just looked like maybe from an outsider's point of view that the players looked like that as well. They looked like they weren't concerned pretty much at any time about the fact that they were getting up into our box, that they were getting opportunities, and only for the fact they're so weak in attacking,
Mm.
they they should have beaten us with what we saw today.
Look,
Um,
agreed. That, and if we didn't have AO, if we didn't have
yeah.
like the Player of the Month sitting um, in our
Oh,
box, and he worked harder than I expected him to. To be fair.
do you know what I just realised when you said that?
Mm.
Um, Manager of the month curse. Parky was just
Oh,
given manager of the month. Now,
oh,
now we didn't lose the match, so I'm not quite sure whether people say that counts or not. But yeah, if you're inclined towards such things, then the Parky curse of the manager of the month may have just come true again.
it may indeed. Um, Good Lord, I did not factor that one in. To be fair.
I had forgotten about it too, because I don't put much stock in this. I don't believe in them, to be honest.
Hmm.
So it wasn't at the top of my mind. But when you said AO getting his award for the month
Yep.
from the fans, it just popped into my head. Okay, are you worried about Stockport and Charlton? So Stockport and Charlton aren't in the mix, but who cares what they do? It's all about Wrexham. So are you worried about them, or are you not worried about them?
I'm less worried about them than I am about Wickham. So,
Of course, yeah.
you know, it's all relative within that context. I'm always of the focus or of the opinion that we need to focus on ourselves and win. We within the context of scope of influence, our team can only influence what it does and how they perform and what they bring. We can't influence Stockport and Charlton. Can we hope that the cards fall our way, that the results fall our way? Absolutely. But I am not going to stress myself out,
Hmm.
wishing, hoping, praying, and worrying, which is the other
Yeah.
side of that.
Yeah, and I'm very much on the mind of I don't really care too much about Stockport and Charlton, and my reasoning is a pretty simple one. In order for one of them to get ahead of us, we need to also help them with some significantly bad results.
Hmm.
If we get those significantly bad results, Wickham's going to beat us.
That's it.
Is my opinion. They will still scrape over the line if we have those bad results, I think.
Yep.
So I'm not worried about them. I'm still worried about Wickham.
Agreed. That's it.
That's how I see it. So, do you want to call out any of the players? You can go
Do,
positive if you want.
do I want to call out any of the players? Yeah, I do
Okay.
actually. I thought, and I have sometimes side-eyed him, and I need to retract that. I thought Owen O'Connell put a good shift in, like he really did. This one in particular, after he picked himself up after the what is probably a mouthful of blood by the look of it at one point. And I thought that's probably the wrong thing to do to an Irishman, like make him madder. Paddy's there going, yeah, correct. don't, don't make me bloody and expect me to be happy. I
Yeah.
thought he did really well. Ollie Rathbone was running around the pitch as he does. Um, I was pleasantly surprised because I noted that Matty James was putting the work in, um, but I agree that he wasn't where I thought I would expect him to be,
Hmm.
and that's probably the way I think about it more than terms of correct formations. Like where do I expect to see them, in relation to the rest of the team? So he was about a bit, and I will say, because there's been a lot of talk in the chat, and chat, that I love and respect you, but I decided to actually click on the link and phone in and have my say, and so I will. And and I And I'm going to refer back also to the interview that Ollie Rathbone just did with Men in Blazers, which was a really good interview. Did you listen? Have you
Yeah,
listened to that yet?
I have. Yeah, I have.
Yeah. And so, what was your thoughts then on his observations about what it's like to come into a new team?
Yeah, that was pretty good. Interesting to hear. The bit that stood out for me was saying at the end, worrying about whether we make it over the line or not, and don't be
Mm.
too harsh if we don't. I wasn't happy about that.
Well,
um,
because they're people at the end of the day. But
yes, I know.
it really seemed to me in the chat today, and the previous match, there's been a big hate on for J Rod, and it surprised me because people were dumping on J Rod, but hardly any other player. It's not a
Yeah,
single
that's not fair.
player's fault.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
fair. It's not a single player's fault when a team doesn't perform over and above expectations. It's the team's fault. It's the fault of the tactics that are put in and the other people who are on the pitch. It's not just one person. And people were saying, "Oh, he didn't do anything. He did nothing," and which is why I put the comment I did
hmm,
in that you posted earlier, and that was simply off the top of my head. I do see someone who is more accurate and doing defensive work and learning to work with Smith, who is used to being a solo up at the top, and they're
yeah.
bringing results in.
They are. Yeah,
And
yeah.
what the stat I wanted to look for, and perhaps you know it, and I'm sure you'll know it better than I will, but I was thinking in terms of matches played this season and goals scored, him against Ollie Palmer
Hmm.
in a similar role. So I would be interesting to look that up for for matches played, but not doing it now.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Hip Karma. All that positivity. We do have our next guest, Bernie G. So I'll bring them in if you are cool with that.
That is fine. Thank you for letting me have my small rant there. I shall take my soapbox and leave.
No, no, I love having you in and the positivity that comes with you. Now let's see if Bernie G is as positive.
This is the second time I've called this
Hello.
show. Second time.
Okay.
Um, Basically, as much as I love what Hip Karma was saying, I'm gonna have to go the opposite direction.
Okay. Have at it.
Okay, well, basically, I put this in the chat. I just find it interesting that when they play the bottom half of the league from
Yeah.
17 to 23, they seem to never like take full advantage of the fact that they should be dominating these teams. They come out aggressive for like maybe the first 10 minutes, and then they just revert back and play defense. It's like American football, when you're up
Mhm.
31 to like nothing in the third quarter, and then suddenly you think you're so far ahead that they suddenly go into prevent, and then next thing you know, 31 nothing turns into 31-28, and
Yeah.
then you have to like go back and play the way you had supposed to play before. But against teams like Shrewsbury, who is the last place team in the league, they struggle. I mean, Wigan is 17th. They're going to be in League One next season. They should have had not really that big of a problem against this team. But yet, what happens? They decide to go out and play below the level of what they're capable of. They never play aggressive. Every game. And Ferguson may have won Manager of the Month for the league, but the problem is, just because you're manager month doesn't mean nothing unless you get something out of it, which is promotion. And I don't think right now, because it's interesting, this week, Wrexham was up 6 points against Wickham. They only had a one game disadvantage on Wickham. Wickham played and they won that game. And now today, Wickham wins again, and that 6 point lead that Wrexham has is now down to one, and that goal differential, which is very important, and I think people are not talking about that. That goal differential is now three. That is big time. Because if Wrexham plays the way they played today against their future opponents, I mean, they have what, 4 games left of the season, correct?
4 left, yeah. We have
Okay.
Bristol, Blackpool, Charlton, and Lincoln.
Okay, they have 4 games left. If they play the way they played against Wigan, they're in big trouble. They're in big trouble. Because if they can't beat the bad teams in the bottom of the league and they sort of okay against the middle part of the league, and then they come out once in a while to play against the top of the league, Wrexham's going to find themselves in the playoffs. And that's the one place I don't think they want to be in, because it's a pick and choose kind of thing if you're in the playoffs and you want to get promoted. And like I said, now it's only 1 point. So
Okay.
this next game coming up is going to be huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
I'm going to push
And,
back for 1 second there. Hang on.
okay.
I don't agree with what you just said.
Everything
Because
or just the
no, no, no,
one
no,
thing?
no. I'll point out what I mean. I agree with
Okay.
what you said about the lower teams. Yeah, we often play down to them and get some crap results. But you
Mm-hmm.
just said as well that sometimes we stand up against the better teams, and we can come out against the average teams here and there. Well, that's not correct according to the amount of points we have. We have been standing up to the top end teams. We have been defeating all the middling teams. So the question is, are we going to continue to do that, or are we going to play as poorly as we just did? So history has dictated that we will stand up to these other teams, and in theory, we will play up to our level when we have a better team. But the
Mm-hmm.
danger is there. We have seen the danger today. If we play that poorly against these other teams, yeah, we can lose this. But from the entire season so far, I have to push back a little bit there. I used to say I was less worried about us playing the bigger teams, and I was really worried about the weak teams, and that flipped because we started beating all the weak teams. But today again, we reverted back to the old school, losing to the weakest team, and they were the weakest team of the 5 we had to play in this run of 5. So yeah, that's not great.
Well. Like I said, the thing is, the one thing that you can agree on is they have to be aggressive the entire game. They just can't for maybe 10, 15 minutes lag off a little bit, because what will happen if you lag off? You give up a goal, and then what? They have to be aggressive
Yeah.
the full game, and they're not. They don't do that. They're like I said, they're aggressive in the beginning, then they play back, then they come up aggressive, and then they lay back. And one of the things that I find interesting, and I put this up on Twitter as well, is the fact is um, the Mullen and Palmer thing. And
Mhm.
it's a very sensitive and touchy subject in Wrexham land. And I just I and I just feel it's like, here's the thing: is Mullen hurt?
I think he must be. My
Okay, is
personal
Palmer
opinion.
hurt? Is Palmer hurt?
No, I think so.
I think his feelings are hurt, but so Palmer's not hurt and Mullen's not hurt. Yet, for some reason, they're still on the payroll. They didn't go through the transfer portal or transfer window when they could have been sent to other teams to play. They're getting paid a lot of money, and I know they're signed for the club for the duration of the season until the end of the season. But if you have these two players, why not have them be on the pitch to come in and maybe provide a spark for this team in like a game like this, where if you had a Mullen or a Palmer, I'm not saying they would have, but you never know. They haven't
Mhm.
played in like a few months now. So I don't really get the whole suddenly and Pip Carr brought up a great point. How people were hating on Rodriguez. And I find the same thing when it comes to Palmer. It's like Palmer did a lot when to promote Wrexham from National League to League Two. Mullen did the same thing. And now, because they're not really doing anything or not scoring anything, suddenly it's like, okay, Mullen's a problem. Palmer's a problem. And why are they not giving a chance to let them play? There's only 4 games left
Okay.
of the season. Do you think they
Yeah.
should be playing?
No, I don't. This is obviously a very long conversation on Palmer and Mullen, but just to get to my point on it, I do think they had their shot. I don't
Hmm.
think the results that they came up with were amazing. They have been replaced, and whether you like how well they're playing or not, the replacements, instead,
Hmm.
we are getting the results. The losses we have had are only blips in this ocean of a very good season. Now, could we lose it right at the very end? Maybe yes, but I don't think the results are bad enough to
Hmm.
warrant dropping the players we have. The stats just I don't think really show it. I understand why people want it, um, but yeah, I
Well,
disagree with
okay.
that.
One more question because I
Okay,
know you're probably very busy, and I don't want to like stop anybody else from getting involved in the
yeah,
conversation.
we do have one more here, so go ahead.
Okay, all right. One more thing.
Yeah.
All right. At the end of the season, do you keep Mullen and Palmer? Do you keep one of the two, or do you get rid of both of the players? Because you can't, realistically speaking, if you go to the championship league, let's say hypothetically, you go up to the championship league, you have to make a decision, or recommends to make a decision. You either
Mhm.
take Mullen Palmer, bring them up to the championship league. You either take Mullen or you take Palmer and get rid of Mullen, or you get rid of both of them.
Okay,
So that's my big question. Which one? What do you think would the scenario be? And thank you for giving me your time.
no problem. No
Second
problem,
time
Bernie.
talking, and I love watching the local pundit. And please subscribe.
Okay,
Subscribe. Give a
right.
like. Give the thumbs up. Come on, people.
Okay, thanks, Bernie. I'll answer that, and I'll let you go, but I'll answer your question. Okay, take care. Thanks, Bernie. Okay, so my answer to that is pretty simple for me anyway. Palmer would be out this summer. I don't see the value in keeping him past his contract. Mullen, I would potentially keep and give a shot. And also, you have to consider it is partially up to them. They don't have to go on loans. In theory, you should be able to force them, but if they say no, it's just not really a situation you want to be in. We've given them contracts, and if they want to sit on them, they can sit on them. I don't care about that, to be honest. If we've been stupid enough to give long contracts, then so be it. But that is mine. Now, next up, we have David, and we have Luke as well. But David's been waiting patiently for a couple of minutes, so he's going to have his time, and then Luke, I will get you on after. Okay, cheers. Thanks for waiting. Okay, David, how are you doing? Welcome,
Good. And
welcome.
yourself?
I'm good. So, how about it? What's your point?
I had kind of a question for you. We've
Okay.
been talking about the team playing down to the level of competition.
Yeah.
Could that be that we're, as far as a style of play, that we're more of a defend and counter, and we built a team staffing or player wise around that style of play, that when we play the lower tier teams that are also just trying not to lose, defend, counter,
Mhm.
that we're just not built to break those down. And that's something that we need to kind of address as far as moving up, or when we move up to championship, that we're still going to have to be that defend and counter because we're going to be on kind of the bottom half of the championship. So, what are your thoughts on kind of that analysis of it?
Okay. I almost think I can answer this in one word, one single word. Triangles. No, our passing is woeful at times. It really, really is. So the scenario we have here, where we are playing down to someone else's level, what's happening is they're not forcing us to defend in the same way that we have to block everything and then go on our quick counter attacks. And they're holding the ball, they're playing around, and we're comfortable. You can have your ball, but you're not gonna score on us and then counter. When we have a team like today where they are playing around us and they're very, very strong defensively, we don't get our counters, which means we have the ball. Someone said it in the chat earlier. I don't think I brought it up, and I can't remember who said it, but they said they gave us too much of the ball.
Yeah,
We had too much possession of the ball. We cannot play nice, smooth, flowing passes, triangles, and just break people down. And we're not taking shots from distance. We had no shots on target today. And our gameplay kind of goes out the window. Now, is it as simple as that? Our main focus of how we play is gone when we play weaker teams, and we just don't have a secondary outlet. Yeah, Potentially, it's
Yeah,
as
just
bad as that.
not having the skill set designed around breaking down teams. Something that I've seen when I've watched Birmingham City games is how they go through and break down. I've been watching a lot more Championship League games of late
Yeah.
and seeing how they break them down. I don't see that with our play. And when we're forced to do that, they seem like, the passing today, that was one where I was throwing stuff at the TV, is that you see one, maybe two passes linked together, and then there's a pass that goes errant.
And then there's a long pass. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a problem. It really is a problem because I don't worry about the championship at the moment because we're not
Yeah,
in the championship and our squad is going to change completely in the
yeah,
championship. So I don't particularly like comparing us now to what's needed in the championship. But if we go up to the championship, like they would eat us alive with what we're doing.
yeah.
The
Because
passing around us it will be crazy. But obviously we'll upgrade.
that was something with the games that I've been watching. It's kind of a vibe that I was getting, trying to see, okay, where are we now? Where do we need to get to? Who can or can't make those kinds of jumps? But it's been kind of really impressive to see the difference in level of play between the two leagues, just as far as visually how it comes across on the TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I do think that's a major element of it. It really is. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for your insight. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Talk to you again. Catch you
You
after
too.
the next one, maybe.
You bet.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, guys. Next up is Luke. And there is nobody else in the queue behind Luke, so I'm going to throw it out again. Jump in the queue, hang on for a couple of minutes, and when Luke is done, I will get you in. Copy, paste. Boom, there's the link gone out in the chat. Jump in to be next. Luke, hello. How are you?
Hi, hello, hi.
Coming back?
Good. Thank you. No, thanks for having me. I've just got back from the turf watching with my dad there. It was really just nervous. I think both teams just didn't want to slip up again. And yeah, I agree with plenty of other people's sort of comments that we just didn't do enough with the ball, and it was kind of just heading it away, and then even Okonkwo had like a skied it out straight away, and then almost slipped up when someone was charging at him.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the first sort of 10 minutes, I thought their goalkeeper looked very vulnerable, and I
He
thought we
did.
could have had some good chances. But that Asamoah Jr., just like Hipcom is echoing, really. Asamoah Jr. just looked like really good fun and speedy skills in there. So really impressive. And yeah, so I think that kind of made some of our players a bit nervous. Tom, is it O'Connor had plenty of work to do, I think.
Oh, he was on it all day, and he didn't have one major slip that I saw.
No. I mean, there was a couple of sort of in the box sort of scrappy bits in the game, from both sides. But what I'm most depressed about is the shots on target. It's just like a big fat nil, a big fat 0.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of really saddened my heart today.
It is. I defended it just a little bit with Hip Karma in that this
Okay.
does happen. Our shots on target are not always very high because we're putting in a lot of crosses, and if you don't get on the end of them, it doesn't become a shot on target. So yeah, okay, I can defend that a little bit, but none, especially when their keeper looked weak. How on earth did nobody notice that their keeper did not look particularly comfortable and did not put some long range shots on him just to see how he was going to handle them? Like that, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's quite nutty, isn't it? And I thought that with the substitutes, I thought we'd do okay, because I was wondering what is going wrong here and how do we change things. And I was waiting for the 60 or 70th minute, and it was 66 minutes, I think, when we had 3 on.
Yeah.
So I wanted Fletcher to do well, and Lee. Might have said it before, but yeah, I want Lee to get back to his being player of the season for last year. It's not there yet, but I think he put in some good crosses today from that sort of side. Yeah, not
How-
not the best. It didn't inspire us. It didn't kind of shock anyone to think, oh right, I could be subbed off and that sort of thing
yeah.
as well. So yeah, it was a
Talking about substitutions there brings something to my mind. What did you think about the triple of Barnett, Longman, and McLean today?
um,
How did
uh,
you think it worked? The changes, the players where they were. Have at it.
Um, well, I'm not as good as you at all, Paddy, with that sort of side of things. So, yeah, with the tactics and those sort of things. But yeah, just McLean wasn't that great. I thought they were. I thought they tried to nobble him a bit. I thought they
Hmm.
tried to dig in with him and as usual on Dobson, because I reckon Dobson's like Jack Grealish in the Premiership. I think he gets tackled and fouled a lot. So yeah, they're having to go at them a bit. But yeah, there's nothing amazing. He didn't grab the ball. He didn't hold on to it and didn't whip in any lovely crosses as he can do.
Hmm.
Unfortunately. So yeah, I don't think that McLean was that great. So right to take him off, I thought.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
what I saw was
tricky.
Longman. Longman was when he was on the right. It took him quite a while. It took him the whole first half to figure out the defense because they were coming on him in twos at
Mm.
least. You know
They
they
were
didn't.
good. They were good setup. They had
Yeah,
defense set up, didn't they? And I was
yeah.
wondering, like when we were attacking, it almost felt like they had at least nine people behind the ball.
Yes.
It's like, oh, okay, that's how you're doing it, is it? So yeah, I
Mhm.
think technically, defense-wise, Wigan were superior. So I thought there were plenty of it today that Wigan were the better team, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I don't want them to be the better, obviously, but yeah. I don't see us as being the superior team, and not like the was it Wickham versus Shrewsbury when it was 30 shots on goal.
Hmm.
I don't know if you remember that, but
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't that one-sided at all. I think they were edging it for most of the part of the game. But you're welcome to disagree with me, Paddy.
No, I agree. I think Longman, even with the double marking, started to get the best of it in the second half.
Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
then doing the change switch up when we took McLean out,
Mhm.
again I think it took Longman a little bit of time to figure out what he was doing now on his new left side with a new defender.
Oh,
I still think
mm.
he did better than McLean. But
Okay.
then
Yeah.
Barney had problems on the other side. He then started to have the same problems Longman had at the start.
Okay.
Is that he couldn't figure out what to do with the defenders.
Okay.
So personally, I think we need to start Barney and Longman together.
What I was saying in the pub, which you didn't hear in the turf, was I was saying to this lady who's from Augusta, in where the Masters is.
Okay.
They've flown over here, and I was saying to her, it feels like they don't know how to play with each other. They haven't got that cohesion, and it's really weird because I was saying, they haven't changed the starting 11 that much at all, but it almost felt like they're with their passing or poor passing in the first half at least. It was just like, what is going on? It's almost like they don't know where their teammates are going to be.
Mm.
For me, in the first half at least. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I can see why it looks like that. But I think it's just a function of we don't give the triangles to each other. We don't back each other up and
mm.
give somewhere to play the ball.
Get into
If
space. Yeah, get
Yeah,
into space.
like
Yeah.
very often you get into space on your own,
Mm,
the ball is passed to you, and if the other team is quick enough to close you down, nobody saves you.
mm.
Nobody's there to get you out of that mess.
So
Um,
what's that about then? Is that just about they're nervous, or is it about poor awareness? Because yeah, when my daughter Lotus was playing netball, I was always shouting to get into space, so you can be available and communicate. Or is it about communication? I don't know. So they're not doing
um,
your favorite triangles.
I, I think again, it's a function of not playing those triangles. They're not used to getting into positions and moving, and I think we're very flat-footed. If you watch players receiving the ball,
Mhm.
they don't move after they get the ball.
All right, yeah, too static.
And very often they stop because they're waiting for the ball to arrive to them. There's no motion where I am moving forward and the pass comes to me on the move. It's
No flow.
very, very static.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's
uh,
like netball, isn't it? You're not allowed to move when
not
you.
allowed to move when you get the ball. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay.
And it's just because we're so slow with the passing and triangles and opening the spaces like that. So if you don't get a turn when you receive the ball quickly and know where you're going, you can be in trouble. Someone can be on you immediately.
Yeah, because if you're not turning on a sixpence, if you're not kind of pivoting
Hmm.
straight away, and you
Yeah.
don't know who's around you, and if it's man on or someone's going to take your legs off you.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I do think a good few of the players are not scanning the field well enough to know where they want to go to next.
Okay.
They just don't seem prepared for that movement, that they
Mm,
have to look up again to see what their next move is, instead of the likes of Fletcher and others who have been in the Premier League. They already know where everybody is around them, and when they receive the ball, they know where they want to pass to, because you can see Fletcher doing no look passes. Like
okay.
he's
Mm.
not just passing randomly. He
Mm.
knows that
Know
that was
someone's
dead
going to be
space.
over there, so I'll
He
pass it
knows that's where
over
the
that way.
defender was. I know where the defenders are right now. And
Mm,
he immediately takes the ball and passes into that dead space. Now, sometimes it doesn't work because it's too advanced a move and our other players don't see it. They don't, they aren't aware that that's likely to happen, and they just don't get into the space. So sometimes it looks like it's a waste.
mm,
Um, but look, this is what you have when you have a mix of players with different levels that can
mm,
see different things. And that's why partly I didn't think we should get Fletch back this year, because I think last season he was doing a lot of these passes and our players just had no idea what he was doing. They were not reading him at all.
He's
Now,
literally and figuratively ahead of the game.
end of the game,
Okay.
absolutely.
Mm, okay.
Yeah,
What do you reckon about that thing that David's saying there about McLean, James McLean?
I agree. I absolutely agree. They doubled up on Longman today and had very little worry about McLean on the other side. Um, They were happy to have one man going on McLean when he got the ball. McLean, I think, is just too slow.
Yeah.
He's not a sprinter. He's a
Mm,
long distance runner. You know,
mm.
he has his energy levels and stuff like this, but
Short
he just
spurts.
doesn't.
And
He just doesn't look dangerous on the ball anymore. And I've
mm,
said I would love to see him coming on late at 60 minutes, 65 minutes, coming on instead of Barney or Longman,
mm,
whichever needs to come off. And I'd
mm.
love to see what he can do then with a
So,
completely fresh gas tank against
mm,
defenders who are tired.
mm,
Then can he
yeah.
run at them? Then can he get back some of his attacking prowess? We put him up the front as a striker before. You know,
All
he
right.
has that sort of talent.
Yeah,
He
don't do
can
that.
No, I know I don't want him as a striker, but my point is he can be very attacking.
Mm,
And I don't think it's getting the best out of him putting him on at the start anymore.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
which is a shame. But then the only option is you must have Barney and Longman on from the start. But I still think it's a good idea to bring McLean in late, because not only can he be hopefully more attacking with a full gas tank against tired defenders, but he's also extremely good defensively. So if we're already up one goal, two goals, then he can come on with his fresh gas tank and he can be the extra defender,
Mhm,
um,
mm.
and play that role as well. He can play
Defensive
both
duties.
depending on what we need.
Mm,
Or at
okay.
least I hope he can become more attacking. I haven't seen it. That's my assumption. Is he will play better in an attacking role late, in the same way Fletch can come on and make a difference.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think I'll go back to that sort of Revan. I've only seen him a little bit, but he just looked really speedy and that. Who's that? Is it a striker? Antonio. Antonio, who plays for, was it Wolves? It just looked like physically strong, really rapid, and so yeah, I would like to see more of Revan really.
Mm.
Um, but
I
I
I
don't know
think
where
there's
his natural position is. But yeah, I'm
yeah.
sure you and Ken and everyone else has said no, Luke, no.
No, I think there's a couple of players that excuse me, unfortunately have missed out this season simply because we're too close to the automatics.
Okay.
Um,
Mhm.
we just it's just too much on the line. Every match, every point is just too important.
Can't experiment,
And
really.
yeah, and if we had been just a little bit more off the pace, a little bit further down, I think Parky could have experimented with other players, could have developed them more,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
and that's a little bit of a problem for me
Mhm.
from that point of view. Now it's less of a problem when we go up to the championship because I think a lot of these players are going to have to fight for their spot anyway. Someone is going to be brought in to challenge them next season. So either they're going to become a squad player or maybe get moved on or whatever. But
Mhm.
if we end up in League One next year, if that
Mhm.
happens, if we don't make it, then there's some really big calls to make. Because I guess they'll get their time, because next season we can do it again with them as the number one. But
Mhm.
I don't know.
Parkinson's going to have to earn his money either way, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, he's got lots of big decisions to make every week, I guess, and every midweek. So.
Okay, so Mark B, a Birmingham fan. First off, Mark B, congratulations on winning the league. Now that we have screwed up and didn't win, you are now champions. So fair play to you.
Yeah.
So your comment here, I didn't read it all, so let's see. If you lot do get autos, you will need a rebuild. Yes, correct. We do need a rebuild. Pulling is definitely not good enough for the championship. Who? Mullen,
Mhm.
I guess. I guess that's an
All right.
auto.
Okay. Mm.
Mullen is definitely not good enough for the championship. We
Okay.
should have started rebuild this season with less FFP restrictions. Um, I guess we did somewhat
What are FFP
start to
restrictions?
rebuild.
Sorry, Paddy.
Fair play rules.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Sorry.
just wages and stuff like that next season. It's on
Okay.
the different restrictions. Uh, Personally, I don't think we have a problem with that anyway. Our revenues are extremely high, and I don't think we have the available funds to be putting in 25, 30 million next season on a new squad. We won't spend that much. I can see us taking in a couple of older players,
Mm.
probably ex-Prem players, um, who will come down and support us and be the old head to keep us nicely surviving and trying to get as far up the table as possible. So I don't see that being an issue. We have the money. And looking at the accounts that came out for League Two last season, we have more money than half the championship already, and that's in League Two. So
Mm.
I'm not worried about that, but we do need a rebuild, and I don't think we can do it. Obviously, we can't do a full rebuild of a squad in one season. It's definitely a two-season thing.
What about some American players, some national American players? They might be really depressed at the moment because they lost to a not so great team. So yeah, could we get? Well, is it Christian Pulisic or something like that? Could we?
Mhm.
Maybe can't afford him, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
we need to look into the market, the American market, or South
myself,
American market.
yeah, Aaron is going to be doing obviously a list of players that we should watch for the summer, with potentially rebuilds and championship in mind because we'll know by that stage.
Okay, scouting, good.
But we have had this discussion, and with the World Cup coming up, I am waiting for when we do get preferably an American national team player,
Uh-huh.
or certainly a well-known American player.
Mm.
Um, I don't think we're rushing to do it because if we wanted to rush, we probably would have done it already. If we wanted it purely for the marketing, we could have got an American player.
Okay.
But I expect it to happen soon enough. And I think once we're a championship club, that will be enough for some of the better American players to potentially jump on board and come across.
Okay.
So maybe this summer,
Mm.
and in general, the discussion was other international players as well.
Yeah, I
From
mean,
an
maybe.
international standpoint, it will not hurt us to bring in a couple of international players from different places.
Yeah, I mean, because Sunderland's my second favourite team. Because my friend from my Suckdin primary school played for Wrexham and then played for Sunderland, Neil Wainwright. So yeah, I went to university in Sunderland when Neil was playing for Sunderland, bought from Wrexham to Sunderland. But I think Sunderland have got some links with can't remember if it's Ghana. I don't know if it's the Ghanaian Black Stars, but Sunderland kind of recruit or go scouting around around one country, might be Ghana,
Okay.
for some really good players. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if that would be a good idea as
Yeah.
well. The African Cup of Nations, not just
Yeah.
the World Cup, but yeah, so some really good standout players from there would be great, and a
Yeah.
change.
Adam Cruz would love a Canadian national, and
I don't know
also,
any Canadian nationals. Do you,
and
Paddy? You know a lot more than me.
Aaron is the man for this, and Ken would love an Australian national as well. So
All right. Harry
that
Kewell. Well, he's the only
Hab-
one that I know.
Habsification is saying Japanese and Korean markets are really good for solid players. So yeah, we'll when we go up to the championship, it'll be
Jamie.
really interesting this summer to see that.
What
So
about Son? Is Son really happy at Tottenham? Would he move? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe. Maybe.
okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the perfect on this bombshell to finish up today, because there's nobody else in the queue, no one else in the background. I actually think we've had a nice conversation today. It went really well. Thank you to everybody who came in and joined us.
Thanks, Paddy.
And on that bombshell, guys, I will catch you in the next. Take care, everyone.